Well, hey folks, my name's Josh and I'm about to do a walkthrough of my 2011 Pathfinder 2000V. It's a sick boat, but I'm putting her up for sale. If you're interested in a boat that is an extremely capable economy style bay boat, this was awesome for me. I absolutely love it. I'm probably gonna cry when I actually go to sell it, but I'm actually gonna be buying a Skeeter 230 SX 230. Looking for something that's just a little bit bigger, a little bit more horsepower, bigger speed. But this thing served me very well, and it'll serve somebody very well who buys it from me. And I'm gonna show you what I got here. So this is the boat. I've used it for, I do a lot of smallmouth bass and walleye fishing on big water on Sakakawea and Fort Peck. This thing's also seen about a month's worth of time in the saltwater. Almost all freshwater use, but I have used it for probably a month's worth of time down in the Florida Keys, catching shark, tarpon, barracuda, a little bit of everything. I have a blast using this thing all over the place for an all-around multi-species rig. You know, shallow draft, I mean, from, you know, fishing for bass up in like shallow slop to walleye out in big 3-4 footers out in the middle of the lake, fishing lake trout offshore, everything. It's an amazing setup. This thing can really do it all. I'll be out in the middle of the lake when a lot of Ranger 621s are hiding behind a bank. It's a sick boat, really good ride. Top speed is, I mean, if you're loaded with like 3 guys, full live wells, 15 rods, 150 pounds of tackle at least, full cooler, etc., you might, and a headwind, you might see 32 on the low end. If you load it up a little bit lighter, you know, 36 to 38, you're going to be seeing pretty often. If you go real light, maybe 40 plus. You know, I don't ever see that the way I have it rigged, but, you know, anyways, it's a good mid-30s boat. You know, for speed, fuel economy is very good. It's about a 50-gallon fuel tank. The fuel fill is right here. It's about I forget if it's a 48 or 50 gallon technically. You're going to be getting probably, you know, 3 miles per gallon at the least, if not 4 plus, depending on your speed and whatnot and conditions. Your range with this thing is easily going to be over 150 miles. I would have zero qualms about 60 plus mile one-way rides in this thing, and I've done it. It's an awesome rig. I modified the trailer, had it modified by somebody else. You can take the tongue off and it'll fit in the garage a little bit easier for longer term winter storage in the garage. I typically keep it out here. I also have a cover with the boat that I'm going to sell, but in the winter time she goes in here. So anyways, let's go up to the electronics on the bow. Real quick here before I get to the electronics on the bow, I'm going to point out probably one of the worst aspects of the boat, which is the fact that while I don't fish saltwater hardly at all, so it doesn't have a lot of the corrosion style issues that come with that, I do drive a lot of gravel roads, and I do have a fair amount of road rash. You can see it is peppered with small, very light surface. I mean, like, extremely light, you know, little specks from gravel. It's kind of unavoidable out here. I haven't tried to do it myself. I think I looked up stuff on YouTube, and I feel like from what I've seen, it would buff out, etc., pretty easily with the right stuff. I just haven't bought the stuff and taken the time to do it yet. But it does have like very fine peppery marks on the bow here, especially. Just being honest, that's what I'm dealing with. Okay, to start with the Garmin Force, it's a 57-inch shaft trolling motor. It works with either 24 or 36 volt setups. I run it with a 36 volt. Very good trolling motor. Based off my experiences with Minn Kota, I would never go back. I definitely prefer the Garmin. It's not perfect, but I definitely like the Garmin a lot. You know, very responsive. I mean, the foot pedals, very good. The remote, which it comes with, is very good. It's also saltwater rated. Very well built. I don't have any screws or anything come loose on this thing. The only thing I had happen was, this thing's got a nice little spot to sit in right here. The pull handle, I had the cable break off the pull handle once, and I fixed that, and since it's never broke off. I just store that right there. Anyways, I also have a TH Marine troll tamer right here, which really locks the trolling motor in place. It can't go anywhere with that. And then in really big water, I'll keep this on too. It's not going anywhere. It keeps your trolling motor in really good condition. But anyways, 57-inch shaft, Garmin Force trolling motor. I really like it. It's mounted on a removable Minn Kota. It's actually made for like the Minn Kota Ultrex, but it's one of these removable plates that can slide right off. If you care to have a quick release plate. Also, I have a low pro rod rack live scope mount, which is kind of like a pole mount here, but it deploys with the trolling motor. So it's a much more efficient way to deploy like a pole mount style live scope mount. Also, if you want, you can just cut this tape off, take this and put it right to the shaft, and you can go right from a pole mount style mount right to the shaft if you're using live scope. It's a very good way to go back and forth between the two. Depending on the situation, I may prefer one or the other. Fulton jack. See, I was already talking about stuff. I got the external GPS puck. It definitely helps for improved GPS accuracy. Also, this has the heading sensor, so it'll always show the direction your boat is pointed, whether you're moving or not, which is a very important thing for accurate casts and lining yourself up with waypoints. Right here, I have a balls out mount. It's got the 9-inch arm, but I believe it's the 9-inch arm, but it's like a 12-inch overall height. And here I have a Hummingbird Helix 9. It's a Gen 1. I use it predominantly for mapping, and also the 2D readout off the back of the boat. I have it Ethernet connected to that unit up there. So when I'm up here, I can view my Lake Master mapping, but I also have a 2D readout so I can monitor what's going on under the boat in the back, which can be really handy at times. Up top, I have a Garmin Echomap 10. It's like the 106 SV, I believe. It's got the fancier mapping. It's the nicer version. I really like the Garmin Live Scope a lot. That's pretty much all that thing does, the Garmin Live Scope. Also, I utilize the 2D on that thing at times, particularly for really deep lake trout fishing. Here's another view of the Garmin Force. And up front, I do have some, like, I don't know what you call them, stress cracks. This is probably one of the worst ones on the boat right here. She's definitely seen a lot of use. It's in reasonable condition for the amount of use that it's seen. It definitely has some dings. That's probably one of the worst. The other worst thing going is that right there. I don't even know how that happened. It's got some chips on the bow. I'm just showing you, I'm pointing out all the little flaws. I mean, otherwise it's really pretty good. I don't even know how that happened, but they're there. It comes with fishing, and it happened. Here I got the Engel 50 quart cooler. The Pathfinder seat cushion. That's like the original seat cushion. It's getting a little worn, but definitely works. Here on the outside, I have these Scotty rod holder mounts. So like, for example, if you want to utilize rod holders at all, these are just, pop them in and out just like that, for trolling or whatever purposes. If you want to use bottom balancers or trolling crankbaits for walleye, this is all you need. You can move it between any of these things. Just spin them on in. They're adjustable there, adjustable here. There we go. Also got V Marine aluminum push pull holders right here with the bungee straps. I utilize push pulls occasionally when I'm fishing shallow in freshwater for bass, northern pike, and then down in like the Keys and stuff, I keep it handy because every once in a while you get yourself up on something real shallow or you want to be a little bit sneakier, and definitely helps out. So these V Marine push pull holders are super handy, and I brace it between this, and then actually it'll bend around this Scotty rod holder and come right back in here, and then you secure it here. So it's a very quick release system if you got to access your push pull quick. Let's see, what do I want to go to next? We'll jump up in the boat, I think. Actually, before I jump up on the bow, just walking around the boat here. The tires, aluminum wheels. There's, in the back here, I mean, it doesn't really get hit with gravel like it does up front, so there's really like little to nothing there. It's in good shape there. Boat buckles. I had a piece of Velcro on here. Fell off. I just got zip ties, but the swim ladder will deploy here if it's not zip tied. I just need to get a new piece of Velcro there. Trim tabs. People in saltwater all know what those things are. In freshwater, if you don't know what they are, they're like the best thing ever for running big water. It can really help control the angles of your boat, how you hit waves, your bow, you know, whether you want it up or down, etc. Super handy tool. Yamaha 115, stainless steel prop, a spare aluminum prop. I used to have a transducer mounted here. There's a couple old holes there that were filled in. I do have one of these little pads over top just for the heck of it, in case I was going to mount a new one to that. This is the Hummingbird 10 SI transducer right here. Works well. You can get high-speed readings as well the majority of the time. Here's the through hulls for the through hull drains. I'm missing the flappers because they're getting a little worn out, and I took them off just the other day. I'm going to put new ones in. Cheap little things, but just figured I'd put some new ones on. It was bought in Hayward, Wisconsin, actually. Apparently, there was a dealer selling Pathfinders there for a little bit. So yeah, this was bought in Wisconsin. Here's the serial number on the boat. And here's the model number on the Yamaha 115. And here's the GPS booster puck for the Hummingbird 10 with the, heading sensor built in, so you know which way your boat's pointed at all times. Oh, also, before I forget, pop-up cleats, which all work well, except for one of them. This one is loose. I mean, it doesn't get in the way, but I don't ever use it. If I need to use something, I'll tie off to this. But the one on the other side works great. For some reason, that one came loose. All the other ones are fine. Oh, and random. Here's the old bunks because I replaced the wood bunks and carpeting this summer. Okay, up in the boat here. This is what she looks like from the deck. Got lots of fish casting from up here. It's the Garmin. Here's the Garmin Echomap and the Hummingbird. This right here was kind of like designed to put an anchor in. To me, I just run all my wiring through here. You can open that up and you can access your wiring for making connections, etc. much more easily. I used to run these graphs, well, one of them, on the Ram swing arm mount, which that wasn't ideal for running two big graphs, so I went to the balls out. I just left it there rather than take it off, so it's still chilling there. Could mount some of that, but it's just chilling. Here's a base right here for a seat or like a bike seat, which I do have available. Here would be like, this is what I usually would store tackle in. I have a foam pad that I put lures on, but it's good. I mean, you can fit a ton of like Plano 3700s and bags of soft plastics, etc. in there. Here's the rod compartment. Here's another rod compartment. On the Pathfinder 2000, for some reason, like the rod storage was like not very long at all. So you can cut out, you can put holes in the front of, at the end of this compartment here, which will then allow you to place rods in here that go all the way up to the bow, and you can store, I mean, don't quote me on it, but I mean, I think you could fit 9-foot rods. I mean, most of the rods I'm putting in are 7 to 8 foot. My 9-foot rods, you know, usually break down, so I usually kind of break them down just a little bit, but I'm pretty sure it would fit 9-foot rods, or maybe even longer, all the way up to the bow there. It'll easily fit 8-footers. I do that all the time. I know that. Shut these compartments here. Straps and everything. The compression latches all work well. Technically, on the rod compartments, they lock, if you want to call it a lock. There's a little tool you can use to lock that and to lock that. Also, it locks in the battery compartments. If you're curious about the TH Marine troll tamer, so what I'll typically do, that was the handle I had here. So there's the Velcro up front, so when I come up here to deploy the trolling motor, a lot of times I won't even run that strap, except for when I'm driving around or if the water's really rough, because this TH Marine troll tamer holds her in place. I'll come up, I got the pull here. You can pull, just hit that with your toe and deploy the trolling motor super easy. Super efficient way to keep your trolling motor in really good shape. I actually turned the trolling motor on earlier today. Let's shut her off. Just turn it on for the heck of it, but anyways. And then as you go to store the trolling motor, you just let it come down like this. And with this cord right here, I'll just hold it with my foot. It'll lock right back in place. So like it doesn't go anywhere, like because of that troll tamer right here. And then this cord right here is what you use to manually turn the pole mount style low pro rod rack mount for the live scope. So like, you know, once again, if you go to deploy this thing, you just hit that with your foot, you lift it up. Super easy way to do stuff. If I kind of come back here like this, I'll just show you how this cord works here. So you would think that this little setup looks kind of wonky, but it actually works really well. As I turn this handle, you can see it turn, and it is smooth. I mean, smooth as can be. You can put it anywhere you want, and it's a super efficient way to do this. You can stand back, and you can see where I'm standing right now. When it's deployed all the way, you'll have to be up on the deck, I think. But yeah, you just sit here with your hand. You can see how responsive. I mean, oops. Anyways, she came back down, but she's all good. But I mean, I'm sitting here like this, super responsive. Awesome way to do this if you're interested in live scope. But anyways, typically I'll keep that cord of this up here, and I'll just have the cord right behind, in between where it locks in there, and like that, like this, and it doesn't go anywhere. You can be flying down the lake, down the highway, you're set. Anyways, come around here, Engel 50 quart cooler with the Engel seat cushion, and I have a divider and a basket. It's a cooler. It's a seat cushion. It's a little bit beat up. Here's the windshield. It's not the original windshield. Got it built after the fact. It used to have the metal rail that went all the way up and over. I really did not like that. Instead, I got these handles right here, which really nice for just holding on to in big water. You're not going anywhere. Also, if you're throwing this thing in the garage, there's thumb screws. You can remove this, fold this windshield down, and you can take this Ram swing arm mount, unscrew this, and then it'll fit in pretty much any garage at that point, in case this is a little too tall. Coming on back here, you can see the rod holders. You got a little bit of dirt in the boat. That happens. It's life. Rod holders are in good condition. And by the way, I do have the Engel tie-down straps for the cooler. It came with this kind of like wood insert thing, which is kind of weird for a bay boat, but that's the original wood insert gig, which actually looks pretty good for 2011. I have these little hold zit foam pads for putting like crankbaits on or various hooks, etc. Just so if you want a handy little, you know, hook or whatever to get at easy access. Up here is the ignition. I have 1,308 hours on the motor. I've had 0 issues with the motor. I did clip a rock with the lower unit last year with the prop, which, long story short, caused some damage to the lower unit, and I ended up with a brand new lower unit. So the lower unit has never seen salt water, and the lower unit was brand new last year. But then, like, the main motor itself, I've never had an issue with, ever. The engine has been flawless. So anyways, gauges all work. It's pretty much your basic gauges. I got some glow tape on some of the rocker switches for fishing at night. And here's some of the little cubbies in here. I will say, actually, this Perco switch, they're kind of built kind of cheap, and the back had some like little tiny screws that fell out and caused me an issue. So I actually just direct connected instead of using the Perco switch, because I don't want something that's going to break on me. So this Perco switch, it's not doing anything, because the power, I just have it direct to the battery. I don't need to turn it off like this, because I don't want the backing on this thing to fall out and leave me stranded somewhere. In here, we got the battery compartment. I got Optima AGMs, the blue tops, Group 31s. I got 4 of the same battery, 1 for the starting and accessories, 3 for the trolling motor. It's the big Optima blue tops, Group 31 batteries. Looks like a little bit of a mess with the wiring, but honestly, I don't have issues with it. The connections are solid. Individual wiring harnesses for each graph for the most part, coming from the front. And you know, it's all, like, almost all of it's like a dual insulated thing, where there's insulation on the outside, and then each individual positive and negative wire comes out with its own insulation, so it's kind of double protected. I forget if it's like 12 gauge wire that I have for the most part for all the electronics. This is a remote thing that I'll plug in. I also do have a charge on the run, all in charge charger, which I use in some instances for charge on the run applications to top off the trolling motor batteries. And I have a Dual Pro Professional. It's 15 amps per bank charger. I've never had an issue with this charger, other than I blew a fuse once. Been a really solid charger for me. They're not cheap either. Here we go. Here's the lean seat. Should probably clean it up a little bit better, but anyways, it is what it is. Got a little dirt on it. And here's kind of a nice little cubby thing under the seat. It's actually really good access for like leader material, gloves, wallets, whatever. It does have a nice little chip in the back there, but I mean, it's very functional, and you're not really ever looking at that. Here's places you can put rods, beverages, etc. Also, I do have a backrest, which is in good condition, which sits right in here. So if you got your wife along and you want a spot for her to lean back, there's a nice little bench seat that'll go right there. In the back here, here's the floor drains. If you're not familiar with bay boats, the deck will drain right out the back. So honestly, if your bilge pump ever goes bad, which this thing does have a bilge pump, but it doesn't even really matter, because the water you take on will pretty much run off the front deck, go to the back, and drain right out manually. So it works really well in big water. It's a good safety precaution, because if your bilge pumps are having a hard time keeping up, or I mean, they won't with this, because it doesn't hardly run to the bilge. Anyways, it's a good setup. If you do have a lot of weight in the back, or you're like slamming it in reverse and stuff, you will get a little bit of water to back feed up through these once in a while. So sometimes, instead of these floor grates, I'll remove the floor grates and instead run these plugs, and I'll put plugs in the floor so that you never get water to back feed. But if you're in rough water, you pull the plug, and any water that collects in the boat will run right out the boat. It's a good little setup. Also, here's the live well. It does the trick. I've fished bass tournaments and walleye tournaments out of this boat. I've had 25-pound limits of smallies in here that I've kept very alive and very well. over here, here's another dry storage area. Nice big compartment. Goes way into the back here. Splash well. Another dry storage area. Kind of some of the rigging, the fuel, water, whatever, separator, filter. Valve for the live well. A little bit of wiring. And the storage goes back in there pretty good too. Oh, one other ding I got right on the cover for the motor right there.